Hey, it's Chico, and in this video, I want to talk to you about, is this the death of real estate investing? Are we going to recuperate? Are we going to be able to survive and do real estate investing like we were just even a week ago? That's what I want to talk to you about in this video here, because there's a lot of advice being given out there, and I want to tell you my thoughts and my predictions on what exactly is going to happen over the next couple of weeks, so that you can be prepared and be in a position not only to survive what's happening now, but at the same time be in a position where now, 4 weeks down the line, you're going to be in a position to take advantage of this new opportunity that's coming up. And I'm here at the house. I haven't left the house for what seems like weeks now, because of the fact that, hey, I don't want to catch the virus. And I actually saw the test required to test the virus, which is like going through your nostril, and I'm like, oh my gosh, now I definitely don't want to catch it. I think the most important thing to talk about right now is what is the future, because no matter what happens now, I want you to make sure that you understand that the future is just around the corner. If you think about this, the reports already from Wuhan, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but where the virus originated, where now things are back to normal. In China, things are getting back to normal. Flights are coming in and out. The Apple stores are opening back up. So things are getting back to normal life, and that is, China and those areas were 2 months from where we at right now. And so if you think about that, we're not asking anyone. If you think about that, you're not going to be making a sacrifice for the next, a year or 2 years or anything like that. This is short term. So you have to be able to survive right now, and that's the most important thing. Now, I just did a video. Watch that video. I'll put a link. I'll put a card here that comes up, and I'll put it in the description, where I talk about how to make sure that you financially take care of yourself now. What are the things you can do right now in order to make sure that you're not going to have any sort of issues with making sure that your essentials are taken care of, making sure that your family has food to eat, and making sure that you're not going to suffer during this particular time. So make sure you watch that video. I'm not going to repeat the things I said in this video here. So there's quite a bit of effects that this has had on real estate. One particular set of effects is that the fact that a lot of the iBuyers are now closing down. Open Door, Redfin. Everyone has basically said we're not buying any more houses, which is fine. It doesn't surprise me, because their business model in terms of buying properties, they were not making any money doing the house buying business. It was a kind of a loss leader. So now, especially with everything going on in the market, they're not going to want to buy any houses. Trump has suspended all of foreclosures and evictions for the time being. If you're looking to target people in foreclosure, that's not a good niche anyway to target, because right now those are not going to happen. In terms of local, a lot of the towns are starting to shut down. A lot of the counties are starting to shut down. I think that within the next week, everybody's going to be under quarantine. I think that quarantine is going to last at least a couple weeks. It could be more, could be as much as 4 to 6 weeks. So you have to be prepared for that. There's no need to panic, because it's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be a quarantine where you're not allowed to leave your house, period. It's just they want to minimize the amount of human interaction, so you can go to the grocery store, you can do certain things, you can go to the doctor if you need to, but again, you're trying to make sure that this thing doesn't spread. My feeling is that in about 6 to 8 weeks, we will start to get into normal things. Like the US will release any sort of quarantine, the line has flatlined, and then now we're going to start getting back into normal life. Although I think that the hangover of this thing, I think, is going to last 12 to 18 months. And by the hangover means that, in certain areas, like for example in Miami, where it's a mostly tourist-driven area, then there's a lot of hotels and flights canceled. Those are not going to just appear overnight. Flights are not going to be booked overnight. Yes, you're going to have some short-term travel, but a lot of these trips have been canceled. Have been trips that had been planned months ago. So people have to start getting back into the swing of things, have to feel, I think that there's going to be a little bit of hesitation from people, even though the government might say, yeah, it's good, you can going about your daily business. It's still going to be a slow process getting back into the groove of things. And so I think that that's going to kind of put us in I don't want to say recession, because a recession is something that would last much longer, but I think this is going to be a kind of a bleep in the whole spectrum of things, at least temporarily, where we're going to see a slowdown of things, but hopefully shortly thereafter, things are going to accelerate much faster after that. So I'm going to assume for this video that right now you've got things taken care of, right? You minimize your expenses, you have credit lines available, And again, you can watch that video that I have in the description that I cover this. And so right now you're okay. Now the next thing is you're gonna say is, okay, what do I do with my real estate business? Do I just stop whatever I'm doing? And the answer to that is absolutely not. You're not gonna stop what you're doing. What you need to do is you have to think about things in a different way. Keep in mind is that, let's say that you're gonna have to, first of all, be able, you have to be willing to do things virtually. So that's key number one. Number two is that the retail sellers are definitely going to be putting a pause and a break at a much greater level than motivated sellers. Sellers that are looking to sell their property without going the conventional retail way. Retail buyers are also going to be hesitant. However, real estate investors, who their business and their primary business is to go out and find discounted properties and then take those properties and flip them or hold them or whatever the case may be, they're still out there. And so you have to put yourself in a position where now you can find deals for these people if you're doing wholesaling, and this is what I'm assuming you're going to be doing wholesaling. Find deals in this current market that you may not be able to close right now, but you're creating your pipeline, so then now you have an opportunity to then cash that pipeline in later on. So let's talk about sellers. I'm going to talk about a couple things. I'm going to talk about how you do business. I'm going to talk about sellers. I'm going to talk about buyers. I'm going to talk about the marketing. How you do business. You got to be able to do things virtually. There's no way to avoid that. Virtually, if you're talking with sellers, you're going to have to tell them that, hey, we can do this. We can do this transaction without having a bunch of people coming through the house. I need you to deliver to me photos of the property. If they're living at the property, that's easy. They can take photos themselves. They can go ahead and get those over to you. I recommend that you have those photos sent to you by email, not by text, because then if you do it by text, then they're going to degrade in quality. So have them send them to you by email. When it comes to the buyers, now if you have a tenant at the property, then you may not be able to get those photos, especially if the property owner may not want the tenant to know that they're selling, or maybe the property is located in a different area. If they're okay with the tenants knowing that the property is going to be for sale, you can talk to the tenants, offer the tenants $50 just to be able to send you those photos and give them an incentive to do that. Now when it comes to the buyers are going to want to see the property. There are some buyers that are going to be able to say that the buyers that are experienced, and if you're offering a pretty good deal, they might be able to say yes. But let's assume that the buyers need to see the property. So what are you going to do? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to give yourself with the seller a long enough period for you to be able to sell that property. So I would recommend a closing date of a minimum of 45 business days, which is around 60 days, or put in 60 business days. And you need to have an addendum that covers in the contract the fact that the virus is going to be delaying the situation, and they're okay with this. The sellers are okay with waiting. Now with the buyers, well, right, what I recommend is that then you're going to get a contract signed by the buyer, and that contract may be contingent on the buyer seeing the inside of the property. Maybe not, I don't know. But again, want to make sure that you want to work with buyers that are still buying, and also want to be able to get a reasonable deposit on the deal, so then that way you know that the buyer's good and they're not going to try to back out of the deal at the last minute. I would also recommend working on volume. I know that everybody wants to make big assignments, $15,000, $20,000, $35,000 in assignment fees. However, I think you want to keep inventory moving. So I would recommend doing deals even if they're small. Even if you got a small deal, if you can help the seller, if you can help the buyer get a deal, if you can, because you've done the transaction, now you help the title company do a transaction, it helps the economy, it spurs the economy. So I would say go ahead and do whatever transactions you can. Also, I would argue that, if I have a deal that's closing and it's a $30,000 deal, and I have two of those, and you know what, if one of those fall through, then I've lost 50% of my income, versus if I have 7 or 8 deals and they're smaller deals, potentially, then I don't lose all of my income. So I would recommend do whatever deals you can, keep the inventory moving, keep money coming into your bank account, and make sure that that's my recommendation. Also, when you are dealing with sellers, I would automatically off the top take 10 to 20% off of whatever you see as the retail value of the property. Again, if you want to be able to sell those properties in this environment, you got to be able to offer the buyer a significant discount. They got to get off the fence. The only way they're going to get off the fence, if they're going to see a discount, they're going to see money. And the sellers know that. The difference between now and 2008 is that the sellers in 2008 did not know that the market had declined. They were still up here in terms of their pricing. And then only did they slowly realize that, oh my gosh, the situation is different now. And so in the beginning of the 2008 crash, it was very difficult to wholesale because you couldn't get the discounts necessary with these sellers because their heads were still in the clouds. However, right now, everybody knows that there's a problem. So you're not going to encounter a situation where you're going to be dealing with the seller that has their heads up in the clouds. They know that there's an issue. They know that if they want to sell, they may have to offer a discount. So it's your job to negotiate a good enough price so that now the buyers are willing and able to come out of the bushes and say, yes, I want that deal. Now, in terms of whatever marketing you're using, you have to be mindful of what that marketing is going to be with respect to whatever the current circumstances are. So let's say, for example, that you're dealing with direct mail, but now they put a lockdown on everything. And so not even the post office is operating. So your direct mail is not going to go out. Also, once direct mail starts going out, the mailman may not deliver a bunch of postcards. They might deliver first envelopes that look like they have checks from the government because people need it. And so you have to keep that in mind. The fact that the mail may be slow. So that might not be a good channel. It might be a good channel now, but it may not be a good channel 2 weeks from now. If you're doing cold calling or if you're doing texting, and all of a sudden you start to get negative feedback from people because they're upset at the fact that they're at the grocery store trying to buy groceries or milk because they don't have any, and then you're texting them and being disruptive, then that might be an issue. So you have to keep that in mind as well. Now, I personally use Facebook ads for motivated sellers. That allows me to go ahead and make sure that whoever I'm speaking with wants to speak with me. They raised their hands and said, yes, I am interested in selling my property. And so therefore, I don't have to worry about that. But again, if you're using any of these other methods, you have to keep that in mind. Bottom line is that you're going to have a dip in your ability to generate income potentially over the next couple of weeks. And so let's say if you look at a typical real estate wholesale transactions, you do your marketing. By the time you talk to sellers, by the time you find a buyer, you're still, I mean, if you really are lucky, 30 days, but realistically 60 days from the time you start to the time you get a check. And so if you continue the process now, then let's say that you're going to have a dip in income over the next 30 to 45 days. Wouldn't you want to put yourself in a position where when this 45 days comes, then you're now have deals in the pipeline? So let's say you have 10 deals in the pipeline and 5 of them fall through, but at least you have 5 that will close, and now you're that much further ahead. I think that the worst thing you can do is stop. Pick a marketing medium, and a little bit one-sided because I like Facebook ads for motivated sellers. Pick a marketing medium that's going to allow you to still continue to do lead generation at an affordable rate that brings you prospects. Negotiate with the property owners, find good deals, go out there and find the buyers, and you can find the buyers directly. You can find the buyers through real estate agents that may have buyers. Give the real estate agent either 5% commission or give them a flat fee based on what you think you'll make on a deal, but give them an incentive to help you. They want business too, and put yourself in a position where now you've got a pipeline that is filling up so that when we're out of here, then things will get better much faster. This is not like 2008 where now we've got this prolonged thing that's happening. This is very short. It's going to have an impact on the economy. I can't deny that. However, this particular situation where everybody is confined, it's only going to be short-lived. So as soon as this is lifted, activity is going to start, and you're going to have an opportunity to get yourself back in the game. And that's my advice to you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, watch my training on how to find motivated sellers on Facebook if you haven't watched that yet, and I'll keep you updated.